Hi there and welcome to Stitching It. This is going to be the third video I have done related to the Pattern Keeper app, which is currently available for Android devices in the Google Play Store. The first video I did was just an overview of features and a more or less standard import of a full coverage chart. The second video showed a demonstration of me stitching and using the app. And so in today's video, I'd like to demonstrate importing more types of PDF charts with the newly redesigned import feature and show you ways that this app can be used for projects that aren't full coverage. When I first became familiar with the Pattern Keeper app, it was revolutionary for full coverage type cross stitch because of its ability to decode symbols and assign colors to a mock-up, which makes it way easier to find and track your progress on large projects. But is this app helpful for sampler type cross stitch patterns or decorative motifs with open areas of fabric that often use specialty over-dyed flosses? Thanks to the latest August 2020 update, this app has more functional use for cross-stitch patterns than ever. The redesigned import feature allows you to manually place a grid on PDF patterns that could not be read previously, and a new thread options were also added. But the number one question people still ask is, can I use this with my paper patterns? The answer is still no, not really. The app is really designed to be used with original electronic PDF files, not scanned copies. Now, more and more designers are being supported. You don't really know if a chart will be compatible until you've tried to import it. So I'd like to cover the basics of different types of imports by showing you what I've got in my Pattern Keeper. These are just the charts that I've managed to import, and these are arranged by chronological order. So the first projects that I imported are at the top, and all the way at the bottom are the most recent ones that I've been able to import since the big update. So first I want to show you an import of a cross stitch pattern by Long Dog Samplers, which sometimes their charts can have difficulty importing, but and I have had problems with quilts reading in the past, so I thought that I would try to do a fresh import of that chart to see if I could fix the highlighting issues that are having issues on the copy that I have, and to see if to show you guys how it's imported. When you want to import a chart, you press this plus sign at the bottom, and it will basically give you this disclaimer that you want to open a PDF file, not an image file, and that if it is a photo or a scan of a paper chart, it's not supported by Pattern Keeper. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use Pattern Keeper for it, but you will lose the functionality of what the app is really designed to do originally. Now, I'm ready to open a PDF now, so I'll open it. And this takes me to my Google Drive. I've got a file folder with cross stitch patterns, all my cross stitch patterns, and these are different ones that I've been trying to bring in since I've been using Pattern Keeper, and some of them that weren't working previously are working now. And like I said, I'm going to try to re-import quilts so that I can get a fresh copy. Now, what I want you to understand also is when you bring in these PDF patterns into the app, it doesn't alter or edit or delete or fix your PDF in any way. It just uses the information to bring the chart into the app to create its own mock-up version. And so you can theoretically bring in multiple copies. Now there's quilts. Okay, I've been looking around this whole time for quilts. So, like I said, this is a long dog sampler, not a heaven and earth chart, not a full coverage design. Okay, so there are open spaces on the graph essentially where you don't stitch, and that is what Pattern Keeper can have difficulty reading, but it's gotten a lot better. Now it's specifically going to ask me about the overlap section so it can knit those pages together in the mock-up so you can see the chart all at one time. The question is, does the chart excerpt below have a gray or shaded or lightly colored edge? And the answer is yes. So we click yes. Sometimes you have to give it a little bit of time. Okay. How big is the overlap? And we can count, and it's a 5. So we just go here and we fix it to 5. Okay. And it's going to continue. We successfully imported your chart, but we could not import all the thread numbers. Please import the missing numbers and verify that the legend and mockup looks correct. So in a standard import, with DMC colors, they would already be able to import this information automatically. But with sampler types, and especially because in the PDF of quilts, I have it on the side here because I need to refer to it. It calls for gentle arts threads, but Pattern Keeper doesn't support gentle arts threads colors in their keys, so you do have to put the DMC equivalent color. So that's what you have to, step number 1 in the next complication of importing a pattern. You'll have to put in all of your thread colors here before you can see your mock-up. So that's what I'm going to do as quickly as I can. I may have to speed it up or cut it out, but I want to show you what that looks like. So this first symbol, I'm just using the key, like I said, by referring to the PDF, because the PDF is not altered in any sort of way from its original, where it is, destination. So the hashtag symbol is the first. Now they have added new options for threads. You can add DMC, Anchor, Sullivan's, Madeira, I don't know, this Paterna yarn, and a custom color. Now this is only chart by chart. You can't change it throughout the whole entire program. And they also have more support for a blend. That's the second row would be, is if you have a blend, you can import, you put one color on the top and one color on the bottom. But this is still pretty basic. I'm just going to insert 783 for my DMC color. It now pops up and shows me what that color looks like and will look like on the mock-up. Save, and it'll see. I have a feeling this is going to do the same exact thing that it did last time. It only read the symbols on the first page instead of showing the symbols on the whole entire chart. I don't know why Quilts is doing that, but it's, if I go, let's see if it repeats the symbol. Maybe, okay. So it's showing the symbol more than once. 783. And it's on another page, but I still have to go by and add page by page. So sometimes you do have to do that. I don't know why. We'll see. You do have to just understand the way the pattern keeper works, and then work with it. Just go down your whole entire list. Be patient and enter that. This is for Grape Arbor in Gentle Arts, which is 154, it says, in DMC. Okay, so. Okay, so I finally finished putting all my DMC colors that I'm going to be using on the floss list. Like I said, this pattern was giving me a couple of problems because the symbols were only being recognized page by page instead of over the entire chart, which isn't normal and it isn't terribly problematic, but that's just the nature of the way some PDFs are formatted. But at this point, I am sure that I've got all of my colors the way I want them. I can see on the mock-up, I can verify the way that it's supposed to look. And so I'm ready to import the chart. So then you push the arrow button to continue that process, and it takes you straight to the beginning of the pattern, where you can begin to mark off your progress until you get too far out, and then you can see where the pages are put together so you can see how it all lays out. So I'm going to see if, because oh, I have to get close enough to use the search feature. Okay, I'm gonna get close enough. This is on the second page, I believe, because what I was having problems with is it was only showing the symbols when I used the search feature on the first page. And it looks like it's doing the same thing. It's showing the symbols. It's instead of saying 310 and throughout the chart, it's doing it one page by one page. You know what I mean? So that's one reason why Long Dog Samplers isn't a complete, fully supported designer yet. Okay, so that's not a problem. I just wanted to see if I could fix it with the newest update. You know what I mean? I'm using it with, I've got my pattern progress marked in this copy right here. And that's what I wanted to tell you also, is that you can bring in multiple copies. It's not altering the PDF. It's not messing with the PDF. It's just importing. So you can theoretically have more than one copy of the same chart if for some reason you needed to have that. Okay, so in the first scenario, I showed you how to import a chart and customize your own DMC colors in the mock-up. Okay? And it doesn't fix. Okay, the next scenario I want to show you is when you open a PDF. Some PDFs have more than one copy of the pattern within the PDF. They might have a color copy, a black and white copy, one all page, I don't know. Okay, so this is the one that I was gonna show you. Hands Across the Sea Samplers has been putting out PDF copies of their little gems since the pandemic, and so I'm going to show you an import of Sarah Spencer, if I can. Now first, like I said, this is going to read the grids. It's reading through the pattern, and then it's going to pop up and tell us that there's more than one chart found in the PDF. So before the update, you would not be able to import this chart, okay, as is. So it tells you to scroll through the chart and remove pages that are redundant, that you don't want to import. So it says if the chart is doubled with one black and white version and one color chart, then keep the black and white chart and remove the pages from the color charts, because you're really trying to get a clear picture of the symbols ultimately, so here we go. This is the first page, second page. This is not importing. This is the information. It's got the Aversois. This is from the PDF, of course. You can't really read it because this is just okay, here come the pattern itself. This is color, color, color. I think that's where the black and white. Okay, maybe I'm trying to look quickly through the small. Okay, there's the black and white version. So I'm going to delete the color versions, delete this. See that grid that's popping up? I'm going to delete that. delete the color one, delete, delete, delete. All right, going very quickly, black and white. Leave this grid on here. Leave the grid on the black and white copy. And that's it, I believe. Okay, so that's all we're gonna make changes to this particular. We didn't make any changes. It's not, but it's loading the PDF file now based on the pages we chose to import. You'll still have to insert the colors that you choose to use for the symbols, because it says, of course, you have to please input the missing numbers and verify that the legend in the mock-up looks correct. Input the thread numbers. Now in this case, I don't know how many pages this was, but it read the symbols correctly through the entire. You only see one symbol for the whole entire list. Now, again, I'm going to be using the DMC conversion on this, even though I'm stitching with over dyed threads. I just want to see the correct DMC conversion. It calls for a versoir, you know, but that's not a supported thread yet. So let me check if I can find it. Okay, 3011. So I'm going to input these thread colors really quickly. Okay, so I have marked all my colors and I'm ready to import the chart. So that shows it, and now you can see I'm going to just show you also in the latest update how far you can literally zoom in and make. This is an 8-inch Samsung tablet. I would assume it even gets even bigger on the 10-inch, but that's really huge. Okay, so that's how you would import, and it shows you again. The reason this is helpful is because on these bigger charts, it shows you the pages. So when you're flipping between pages and trying to stitch over page breaks, it reduces the number of mistakes that you might make. So, okay, where are we now? Let's see, back. Okay, so in the first scenario, again, I'm going to recap. I showed you how to import DMC colors page by page, and then on the second one I showed you how to remove unnecessary pages from your mock-up so that you can import your progress. Now I'm going to show you another difficult, oh man, that was too hard to import, but let me try this one. These didn't originally read. Some PDF charts that are flattened, they don't have the annotations, I guess is what it's considered. I don't know. They wouldn't read a grid. And for example, I had a PDF of Quaker Peace from Bygone Stitches that wouldn't read in the pattern. So I was able to pull it in and see, it's not going to show unless I zoom in all the way, I guess. I'm still marking off my progress, but I was able to impose the grid on this one that it didn't want to read. And I'm able to manually mark off. Let me get close enough so I can hopefully show you some of the symbols. Okay, so these symbols, the grid is matched up with the grid on the paper. I can still mark off symbols as normal because I have the grid lined up exactly the same, page by page. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, theoretically, you could use a scanned or picture copy of a PDF that you already own, but it's so hard to get it to line up manually. It has to be perfectly square. you know. So this was already, it was already manufactured some way to be completely digital, okay? But I'm going to walk you through that process on a smaller. This is a bigger piece. Look, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pages that I had to figure out and manually put the grid on there. And I'm still marking my progress. I've stitched basically all the first page, but it won't read the colors either. So I'm going to show you how to do that on a small 1-page chart, okay? And that will be, let's see, open PDF. This is a chart I purchased from Kathy Barrick's online Etsy store called My Mother's House. And it's just a 1-page design, a PDF. And the app, when you pick this PDF, it'll immediately tell you there are no grids found in this PDF. We cannot find grids in this. And it says that, and it tells you why. It gives you information. This is very helpful. But you can manually assign grids where they are, but it is probable that the resulting import will not be searchable, okay? You will still be able to see your chart and enter your progress, but you will not be able to search for symbols, okay? So you do lose some of the functionality, but it's helpful. Okay, so here is the 1-page PDF. Right. I'm going to try to put a grid on top of this, okay? Okay. So first I press the plus button. Then, let's see now, where did it showed up right here. And you're going to drag these corners to match up with the corners of your grid area, the grid area on the page. Okay? Okay. Let's see now. Now, it matches up physically, but you need to match up. Now you need to edit it and put the stitch count basically. Okay? So, oh man, I had this figured out already. You can either count manually as you see what's displayed on your PDF, or you can input the stitch count from the info page, right? So I don't even remember what it was now. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Okay, so I was thinking it was 120. Then my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And edit it to be 100. Okay. That looks about right. You want to zoom in and you want to get those grid lines to match up as closely as possible. And you may have to adjust the stitch count just barely for this to work. And this is why you won't get something square like this if you just take a picture of your pattern. I've tried. Okay, I think it's lining up as close. Well, see, it's getting off a little there. And so I think that I'm going to have to adjust the stitch count vertically. They're too long, so there's 2 I need to add. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's 4. Edit. Okay. And that, if I look around, oh, it looks like the vertical ones are off just a little bit. 1. Okay, so there's another 126. Yes. All right. That's not right still. It's not right. Still not right. Okay, so this takes some fussy with, you know. See? All right, that's it. That's it. That's as close as it can get. If you look around in your corners is where you're going to try to look. It's not, if it's lined up in all the corners, it's going to be pretty much lined up in the middle, okay? And you can tell the blue grid that I have superimposed lines up almost basically exactly with the grid on the picture. So that's ready for import, okay? It's trying to process and read the symbols. Most likely it's not going to. Okay, this is okay, we imported your chart, but we were not able to index the symbols. This is usually because the chart is a scan or an image. You will still be able to see your chart and enter your progress, but you will not be able to search for symbols. So this is what I was talking about. This is the same thing that I've got with Quaker Peace, except this is easy to see because it's all one page. Okay? Now, when you zoom in, you will now see the PDF picture just like, except you can zoom in all the way. I'm just going to zoom in on this little area. Takes a second. That's as big as it gets. Isn't that helpful? But you can zoom out. Okay, and it shows you the entire thing. Now, the difference, what it is, when it reads those symbols normally, and when it indexes the symbols is what it says, it differentiates between the blank space and the stitched space. And in this case, it doesn't. The blank, all spaces are the same. So if you click on a clear place and you mark it off, it turns gray as marked off. But oops. But on an index chart, it wouldn't do that. Okay? You have to, I'm going to frog that. You can still mark off these gridded pictures, but you can't search for the symbols. See, that second search symbol is not there as an option. Okay? But you can still mark off your progress and accurately, you know what I mean? But when you do that, it covers it in gray. And right now you can't change the color of it either, as far as I tell. But you can still mark off your progress. So you will, instead of getting a color mock-up in the program, you just get a gray mock-up in the zoomed out version. So that is another way. That is the way to impose. Now it gets trickier when you have projects that are more than one pages. And that's what what I did manage to do with Quaker Peace, which is available on Etsy through some store. I don't remember, Kentucky, KY, something. Now I'm going to show you a scan. This is not my best example of something that I took a picture of, but a pattern that I have, a paper pattern. This is over a year old, so I can probably do a better scan, but I've tried with other patterns and I get similar results. So I'm just going to show you. When you take a picture of a scanned copy and you try to impose the grid, this one is a Jeanette Douglas design. See, first of all, the symbols don't really show up, okay? They're very, very light, and so you can't, it's hard to read the symbols. I think I could get a better picture, but where the grids don't line up in the corners especially is when the paper warps, and you can see it does sort of line up in the beginning, but if you zoomed out, you'd see these lines don't even match up. But in the future, that may be easier. I'm going to experiment also. This is just a one-page pattern, and it has specialty stitches, but I can see those. But again, the grid lines, when they don't match up in the program, you know, you really start to lose functionality of the program. See, that's a picture that I took myself, and you can still sort of mark it off. But you can do that with a PDF viewer in that case too. You can zoom in and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm just saying that taking a picture of a PDF doesn't work, but more and more designers are putting out PDFs. This is Awesome Pattern Studio. I was able to get 2 patterns to work with theirs since the update. You know, Owl Forest Embroidery, you know, works, and that was a color one too. So those are the 3 examples that I wanted to show you. This one, you can also continue importing. I started importing this one, but I have to import all the colors, and it's got a lot of blends. I'm trying to, originally I imported the same PDF, but it had multiple copies of it. So multiple copies, and it did come in to the Pattern Keeper, but like I said, since the update, you can choose which pages you want to upload or into the Pattern Keeper. So what I really think Pattern Keeper is similar to is like a Fitbit. You know, a Fitbit, once you have it and you wear it, it doesn't necessarily do anything. It doesn't make you more fit. But if you have your statistical progress over a period of time, you can notice trends and you can keep track and motivated, and you know, it really helps a lot. So that's just what I wanted to cover in this Pattern Keeper video. It's just some different scenarios of uploading different types of PDF patterns. So if this was helpful for you, just let me know. And if you have any other questions, I would still point you in the direction of the Stitching with Pattern Keeper Facebook group that is run by the app developer, you know, and there's a lot, it's very active, people can help you with your questions there more quickly than I can. But if there's something you think that I should address in a video, just let me know, and I'll try to do that. But I hope you guys are enjoying your stitching, and you're getting a lot done with Pattern Keeper, and I'll see you guys next time.